Okay, I see everybody's in. Good evening, ladies and gents. Thanks so much for your patience, firstly, and thank you for joining us this evening for our post-match press conference. We've got our Director of Rugby, Mr. Jake White. We won't waste any further time. We'll head straight to questions. Nathan, you can go first.
Thank you, Prapambi. First of all, Jake, congratulations with the win. Jake, before this match, you compared the fixture to golfing, stating in the playoff it's either you choose to tee off first or second. But in this instance, obviously you teed off first, and it's just a waiting game from you now onwards. Can you just talk us through the review of Conor Hendricks' performance today?
Yeah, he was outstanding. Yeah, and as I said, he played really well. I thought at times we played really, really well. I mean, as you know, you asked me before this week as well, what I want to get out of the game, and I want to measure ourselves how good we've become or how good we can be. And I think at times, barring one or two little mistakes we made, which is always understandable. I don't want to highlight anybody, but I mean, you get a guy like Kanan, knocks the ball on in the 22 there. Next thing, they tap quick again. They go and score, and then a young guy like Johan Mostert comes on, throws an intercept pass. So that's a massive swing. And we could quite easily have won that 45, 20, whatever it was, 20, 24, whatever. So, I mean, the reality was it was a comprehensive game, and I'm obviously very happy, not only with Cornwall, but I suppose with everybody, because it was an important win for us.
And then my last question, yeah, for sure. I mean, you obviously mentioned the positive and negatives. Now, moving forward to the quarterfinals next week, you obviously want to eliminate the errors. Is that something that's going to be a concern for you going forward, just to eliminate those errors?
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, I think you're spot on, and again, I don't want to highlight it's one guy, mate. I mean, there were a couple of things. We had overlaps, never passed. We had a couple of more opportunities on the try line. We didn't convert. As I said, mistake there where Kanan gets into position, picks up the ball, knocks it on, and then, obviously doesn't release it, gives a penalty away. So, yeah, I mean, that is a learning. That's a learning for all of us. And even Emmy, I spoke to Ambrose afterwards, he was going to pick that ball on the try line. And, in hindsight, he should have maybe just passed it back to the 10 to kick it out, because as he was trying to place it to kick it, they just jumped over and scored. So, yeah, I mean, it's always nice when you give reviews after the game and you've won, because then obviously players can obviously work on that. It's much harder if you had lost that game.
Jan?
Thank you, Jamali. Jackie, I think you partly answered it. I mean, obviously 5 points in the bag. You dominated for 60 plus minutes. I think, if you want to look at the positives, you look at that 60 minutes. But what do you subscribe to? There were two short 10-minute periods just before halftime and right towards the end, where it seemed like the guys switched off a bit, like the game was done and you dominated. And is that a concern, or it's just one of those things that happen when they get desperate?
Yeah, well, look, Jan, I think it's about understanding what's coming, and when you've got 11 internationals playing against you that are going to be touring South Africa, as soon as you take your foot off the gas, I mean, they will pounce, as I said, this competition's a tough comp. It's a very tough comp to be involved in, and it gets tougher next year in Europe when you play in the Heineken Cup or the Champions Cup. It gets even tougher, and that's part of my message to them. We can't be lax on the basis that you think you've won the game, because it changes so quickly. And it isn't a concern. I mean, it's a work in progress. And at the end of the game, we had Johan Mostert, who's a relatively young guy. We've got David Creel, who's a relatively young guy. I've got Jan Hendrik Wessels, who's a young guy. I've got Elrich Lowe, who's a young guy. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And they've got to learn. The only way you're going to learn, Jan, is you put them in those situations. Some Pee-wee, a relatively young prop as well. So, yeah, I mean, as I said, it's not ideal, but the other way is you don't put them on. And then you never know, and you never give them the chance to actually feel what it's like to be under pressure. So, we've done it a few times now, where we've probably let teams score at the back end of a game for whatever reason. Maybe it's the cohesion, maybe it's the fact they haven't played much together as that combination. So, yeah, Jan, the only way I'm going to get it right is I keep exposing them to that sort of pressure, and that sort of understanding of the sort of tempo and the ruthlessness of the teams that you're playing against.
Yeah. My second question, if given the quality of the opposition and the internationals, I mean, we all know who the guys and Lynn and those guys. Is there something the Boks can learn from this? Exactly what they can take out of this in terms of what comes in July?
Yeah, look, I'm sure that Rassie and Jock and them would have been watching that game and watching all the games, especially all the Welsh franchises, because tomorrow the Scarlets play against the Stormers, and I'm sure there's a lot that they can learn from that as well. But just chatting to the Ospreys guys, they're a very big set piece team. They like to play out of their own half, as in they don't play much rugby, but they give you the ball out of their own half. And as I said, at times that intercept try, if that ball goes to hand, we score. Yeah, so yeah, Jan, it's one of those games. I'm sure the Springboks coaches and staff will be looking at that, and vice versa. I'm sure the Welsh coaches and the Welsh staff will be looking at all the games and looking at ways in which they can try and nullify the set piece and the way we play as South Africans.
Heinz?
Jake, congrats on the win. You mentioned in the build-up, how X factor, that whole proverbial thing, takes many different forms. And I suppose one of them was you have a 19-year-old fullback who makes an unfortunate mistake in his own 22, concedes a try indirectly, but comes back after halftime, throws a brilliant pass for Cornell, and then rounds it off to score a try that puts you guys on the front foot at the start of the second half.
Yep. Heinz, I mean, you summed it up nicely. I mean, that's exactly why you got to put players in those positions. I mean, a guy like Juan Mostert, I mean, I think 10 seconds before he threw that intercept pass, he made a try-saving tackle and held the guy up over the try line, in the right-hand corner there. So, yeah, exactly that, Heinz. I mean, that is what I talk about when you say X factor. You're looking for players to understand. It's got nothing to do with one individual brilliance. It's about the whole team understanding how we can play. And again, I say it, Heinz, I thought we played really well tonight. I thought there were times where the way we attacked, the shape we attacked, the kind of speed we played with, the ruck speed and the precision of understanding where to go and how to get back on our feet was at times as good as any team we've played against this year. And again, that's 2 years of working with this group of players. So, yeah, I mean, I'm very positive. I mean, as I said, that pass goes to hand at the end with the intercept. The score's 45-24. Then it's a convincing win. And everyone probably would say, sheesh, it's one-sided. But as it turned out, it was an intercept. And there's a lot more learnings that can take place there. I think if Jean had done it, he probably would have run the whole length of the field and gone and scored as well. But that will come with time. That will come with experience. And longer we keep these players in our system, the better.
Ken?
Thanks, Kumani. Congratulations, Jake. Just following up on the theme of X factor and brilliance and that. I know we all want to see like dazzling tries and that, but in a way, the first few tries, they were so simple in their execution, just seemed to happen so easily. Does that excite you more as a coach? Because that means, I mean, things have really worked well, haven't they?
Well, Ken, that's a very clever point. I mean, exactly that is that at times it looked so simple, and you're talking about a really good team. You're talking about the team that's now vying to be the top Welsh team in this competition. So, walking over the try line in that first try for Madosh because we've created space on the outside. Carrying through the middle of them and getting offloads with Kanan and Cornell running through. The little tip passes from Harold. Exactly that. It looks simple, but I can tell you, it's under pressure, and the more that happens, Ken, I mean, obviously, the more gratifying it is for a coach. So, Chris Rousseau is our attack coach, and I think again, you got to give him credit for that, because the way that we sometimes opened them up and got them to, as you would see, 3-4 phases of maneuvering their defense and then opening them up, especially with youngsters like Kanan coming into the line. Can only bode well for us as a team going forward.
We'll go to Ashfaq, then Leighton, and then we'll finish off with Carl.
Hi, Jake. Talking about X Factor, that Scrum was a X Factor tonight. Really motoring forward there, and your locks outplayed the Welsh Lions locks. And Ruan Nokia, I think probably now there's no way he can't be picked in the Springbok squad.
Look, Ashfaq, I mean, obviously that's also pleasing for me because, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about our scrum. And again, you know, Vanna and Edgar Maratuli have been working really hard on our scrum. And when you get returns like that, especially against a team that prides themselves on set piece, so that's a massive bonus for us. And yeah, I mean, Ruan, you know, again, I think one thing we're working really hard on at the Bulls is it's not about individuals. You know, I think Ruan played well based on the fact that the packs played so well. You know, he played well based on the fact that, you know, the prop scrummed well. He played well based on the fact that, you know, the back row carried so well as well. So yeah, Ashfaq, it's not a question of, you know, he's definitely going to get picked. He's a young guy. You know, he keeps playing like that. It's going to make it difficult for them to leave him out. But at the same time, I'm also understanding of the fact when you have Lua de Jager and you have Arge Snyman and you have, you know, Eben Etzebeth, and that list goes on. They're all World Cup winners. I mean, it doesn't just going to happen that you get handed over or you get handed a Springbok blazer. So, yeah, I'm very happy. I mean, as I said, I really am enjoying the fact that we're growing as a team. And I'm really happy that little things that are starting to fall into place are only going to get better the longer we keep this group of players together.
And just quickly, what's going to happen tomorrow? And do you prefer any particular opponent in the quarters?
Yeah, we're just happy that we want to play a home game. So, you know, at this point in time, you know, it's yeah, look, I mean, I think that the things change so quickly. I mean, literally, you know, all of a sudden the Sharks lose to Ulster, you know, Munster playing Leinster tomorrow. Everyone thought Leinster would be the favourites to win. You know, everyone, the Stormers and the Scarlets. I mean, the Scarlets have, you know, playing at home. Stormers should be favourites to win there. So I think again, Ashfaq, and all I said to the players is we're going to have to play away anyway. I mean, whether we play, you know, the quarterfinals or semi-final or final away, we're going to have to play away anyway because we're not going to end up first or second. As it stands now. So, you know, if it means you have to play away 1 week earlier than the semi-final or 1 week earlier, you know, than you would have liked, well, you know, I think the Sharks showed today that, and we showed today that you can win away from home if you play well enough. So yeah, let's see what happens tomorrow.
Leighton?
Hello, Jake. Speaking about playing well enough, I think your team has showed it with how you play with your forwards and then switch to your backs, the best of the South African sides, and you've done it now away from home again tonight. Is that the blueprint for the playoffs as well? Because you don't want your guys to creep in their dop when they play an Irish side who's a bit more tougher on defense, but you've showed when you unlock that defense, your guys go score.
Exactly, Leighton. I mean, I'm so glad again you guys ask intelligent questions and really good questions late at night. You know, I said, and I can rewind this from the very first time I got to chat to you guys. I said, you're not going to win this comp 9-6. You're not going to win this comp, you know, trying to keep people out and not scoring points. I mean, you look at the teams that have scored. I think Leinster have scored the most tries and they're number one. You know, Leinster have conceded the least tries and they're number one. So, yeah, it's you know, look at the Crusaders when they dominate Super Rugby. You look at, you know, overseas sides that dominate their leagues. It's a very common trend. You've got to score points in order to win games. So, yeah, we won't go into our dop. We won't. We're going to try and keep growing as a team. And you know, I mean, we were under pressure today because we needed a bonus point. We knew that if the Sharks get a losing bonus point, we can't finish higher than them. And we ended up playing with a style. We didn't go into our dop. We kicked to the corner. We had a couple of mauls. At one stage, we were 12-0 up. We got a maul sort of carried over the line, held up, and there would have been 19-0, you know, if we had scored there. So, yeah, Leighton, thank you. Thanks for the fact that you pick it up. But I mean, we're not going to, this is not just about the next 3-4 games. It's about building as a group, because I really, as a coach who's been around and coached around the world, that's the kind of style I want to play. I want to be good enough to put teams under pressure with our forwards. And if they stop us at forwards, then we must be good enough to play them with our backs as well. And, you know, I saw that tonight. I mean, Cornell, man of the match as a 13. You know, that makes me happy because, I mean, that means the forwards have given him good ball as well.
To wrap things up, Carl?
Jake, yeah, that's putting a lot of pressure on me asking the last question, referring to the previous questions is intelligent, but I'll do my best. Going back to your selection process of the youngsters, is it a forced selection, or can we expect a more conservative selection attitude from you guys going into the knockout stages?
Carl, again, I mean, I think, to be fair, I think we'll have to see who we're playing against. I think we'll have to see where we're playing. And there are a lot of factors that will then influence that. But, you know, I'm comfortable that a lot of guys have had game time. A lot of guys have put their hands up. And, you know, as I said, putting youngsters on the field and getting them to learn is as important, not only for this year, Carl, but for the next couple of years as well. You know, as I said just now, I mean, we're going to have to play Munster away in the European Cup, or we're going to have to play Toulouse away in the European Cup. And, you know, it's not going to get any easier. And the only way they're going to learn is if they have pressure like they had in the last 10, 15 minutes of today. So, you know, I've sort of haven't answered your question, but it depends. It depends who we play. It depends what combinations I'm looking at. It depends on, when I review the game, whether I think that the guys who've been on the field need another opportunity to play, or whether we need to look at, you know, as I said, a couple of more senior players that are on the wings as well.
Extra time for Ken, who's requested just one more question. Ken?
Thanks, Bambi. Thanks very much. Jake, you often talk about how much you enjoy forwards and backs interplay and that. You've mentioned the scrummaging, but just how happy are you with guys like Gerard Steenekamp, Morné Smith? Obviously, Jan Grobler, we know, is a great ball player. But, I mean, your front row is really contributing around the field as well, not just in the scrums.
100%. I mean, I'm very happy for Cornell. I thought Cornell played well, and, you know, I didn't choose the man of the match. But I wouldn't have been surprised if Gerard Steenekamp was man of the match as well, because at times he was outstanding as well, you know. So, and we know Grobbies has probably won more man of the matches for us this season than anyone else. So, yeah, Ken, it's something that I'm pushing really hard with our group of players. Is we want them to be good enough to catch and pass, and be good enough with the ball in their hands as well. And when you saw what happened tonight, I mean, we, you know, again, there were moments where we had overlaps and we probably froze and didn't pass, and there were times where we could have held on and we offloaded. But that will come. You know, I can't get cross with him. I mean, you know, as I said, I can think of a couple of times. Marcel breaking through, offloaded, didn't go to hand. David Creel went through a couple of times, didn't, you know, offloaded, didn't go to hand. You know, Chris Smith, the same sort of thing. I think Gerard knocked one on in the 22 as well. But, you know, if you're going to win this comp, you're going to need those to stick, and you're going to need to do those in pressure situations. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, Gerard, Morné, you know, even Robert came on and he scrummed quite well at the back end of the game with a young hooker like Jan Hendrik, and obviously Simpiwe is relatively inexperienced still as a loose end prop. So, yeah, we'll just get better, Ken. I mean, I know that I'm waxing lyrical here, but I'm really looking forward to how good we're going to be as we grow as a team.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time, and Coach Jake, congratulations, and travel safe back home.
Well, thanks, guys. Sorry we're so late, but there wasn't a place to do our media there at the stadium, so we apologize.
No worries, Jake. Worth waiting for. Thanks, Kamani. Thanks.
Great stuff.
Thanks.
Cheers.